So, Mr. Olympia, thank you very much for coming, buddy. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy man. And say hello to Nate Tello. Nate is here somewhere.
Brandon.
What's going on, Nate?
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, how you
So,
doing?
listen, I'm psyched to have you. I know this is crazy time for you. Are you? You should be having another baby soon, right?
Yeah, we were supposed to be having another baby around about now, but unfortunately, my wife, she actually lost the baby, so
Oh no. Oh, dude, I'm sorry.
that's all good. It's all
Oh,
good.
I probably should have. I mean, is that known, or am I an idiot? I just didn't know it.
Known, I think she put it on social media, and I think I had maybe a snippet on it a while back. It happened in the second trimester, so it was a little bit early.
Oh
Uh,
man, I'm sorry. That's terrible.
yeah.
So how's everything else going? How are the other kids?
Oh, they're just trying to get back in sports, so we'll see. Football starting to get prepared for football, and we'll see what happens in soccer. So they're trying to. They're practicing and doing the conditioning and stuff like that. So we'll see if they actually have a season this year or not. We'll see.
Yeah, things are a little looser down there compared to up here in Boston.
Yeah, we got a little bit more leeway as far as what people are doing, and the gyms have been open since May 1st, and so we've been definitely kind of trying to keep it kind of normal. It's not the same, but it's still a little bit less restricted than other areas.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to really talk to you about is, and I mentioned it to you, was the fact that we've had a lot of great Mr. Olympias and obviously great guys and great competitors. But one of the first things you did, and it really hit me, was like within days of you getting home from winning, you were already at, like, whether it was a football practice or sharing your story with the kids and sharing the trophy, and it just was such an amazing thing that you did right away. You didn't waste any time. You didn't, it was, and it seemed so authentic. It wasn't like a public a PR stunt or anything. It was something that comes from the heart with you, and it was just such an awesome sight to see. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it was kind of like it's kind of just an organic situation, really. I just, you know, gotten pretty much back home. The Sandow happened to be still in my trunk, and getting back home into the rhythm, and you got daddy duty, so you got to go see what the boys are doing. They're at practice. I'm checking them out. I'm hanging out, and I'm talking with my wife, and she's like, she comes up with some of the best suggestions. She's like, you should show everybody your trophy. And I was like, oh, that's right. I got my trophy in the trunk. So I'm like, oh man. So I pop the trunk and I pull it out and I'm about to show the kids my trophy, and then the words just started coming, and I feel like it was an opportunity to kind of motivate and inspire the kids. So that's what I did, and then I realized from that point on, since my standout stayed in the car for a pretty good while, different places I would go, I could share it with people, and I actually traveled with it internationally as well to do the same thing, which was a little bit of a hassle, a couple close calls with almost having it taken in places like Saudi Arabia, but
Yeah, yeah,
it allowed me to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't travel everywhere with it because it's so cumbersome, and people are like they don't really know what to do with it when the security and everything. But it
right.
was more like I just wanted to share it, and that kind of got around, and then I got special invitations like to go to different high schools and speak to different teams and stuff like that. Once it kind of got out there that I was willing to do such a thing, so I just feel like it was just no better time than to just share the win with my community, those around me, those who could be inspired by me. And I just felt like, it's kind of like a responsibility for us as ambassadors of the sport. And, I just took it upon myself to kind of keep that thing moving.
Awesome. I love it. Is that thing as heavy as it looks? What does it weigh?
Oh man, it's heavy, man. It's like 30 pounds, bro. 30 pounds of
Wow.
just, and it feels heavier. It feels heavier than any 30 pounds that you've ever you've ever held because it's not shaped quite appropriately.
Right.
Um, and I got away with, carry-on wise, you can't really carry anything that heavy on an airplane as a carry-on. It
Right.
has to be, yeah, like it's a little over 30, so it has to be a little bit under, I think maybe 25 pounds or something like that. So especially for international flights. So I had to get away with it by kind of concealing it in a duffel bag, which, it has all these sharp edges and different things on it. And I got it in this duffel bag because I know it's not going to look huge when it's on my shoulder, in a
Right.
duffel bag.
Right.
So I can walk down with it and people are not questioning, like, let me wear that, sir. Let me do that. But that's what I did. I put it in this duffel bag. And, even though it was kind of uncomfortable, I had it in a duffel bag and I was walking around with it like it was light. So when I would go through security and everything, they wouldn't really notice the duffel bag until I set it down. And I set it down and they go through that scanner. And some of the international flights, you can see the X-ray. Everybody can see it in the X-ray. So it goes, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Wonder what they're gonna say. Wonder what they're gonna do. And all of a sudden, they'll be like, I said, they look at me and I go, it looks just like it looks in the on the X-ray in the bag. It looks exactly like that.
Right. Of course.
Okay, we got to open it up, sir. We got to look at it. So here's what they do. They unzip the bag and they look. And then they don't really realize the weight and the magnitude of this thing until they try to lift it up. And then you see they go, ugh, oh. And they're looking around like, we don't know what to do. So they're always looking at a supervisor or something like that. And like, what should I do with this? And then the supervisors, a lot of them are like, I don't know. Except in Saudi Arabia, the guy was like, sorry, you can't take this. This is you can't take this on the plane. We have to keep this. And I was like, you can't keep that, bro. He's like, yeah, we have to keep it. It could be dangerous. It can't be on the plane. And then apparently Abdullah was with me, of course. I was in Saudi Arabia. So one of the guys recognized Abdullah, one of the security guys. And he came over and he saw what was happening. He came over and started talking Arabic to my coach. And then before you know it, they gave it back to me. So I was like, whew.
Yeah, once they understand who you are, that's Mr. Olympia. That's like, Bobby Orr carrying the Stanley Cup. You're not taking that thing from him,
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but you got to understand in security in that kind of field, you do have these egos that sometimes they don't want to budge on their protocols because technically it's too heavy for me to have it on the planes. So it's one of the things that, of course, I don't know what they said, but eventually he backed down because we tried to say that. We tried to give him, we tried to tell him what it was, who I was, but he just wasn't hearing it for whatever reason.
Yeah. Speaking of security in Abdullah, I got a funny story. When I flew to Kuwait, normally you go through security, it's dead serious. These guys got guns and they're standing there. And we walk in and the guy's stone-faced, and then he sees me and he's like, oxygen. He says oxygen to me. And then within minutes, Abdullah and Ahmad and someone else came out, and they didn't even, check us in. They just let us walk through with our bags, didn't even look at my passport. Once Abdullah came past security and grabbed me, gave me a hug, and walked us right through. I'm like, this is crazy. You could never come in the U.S. like that.
No.
They didn't ask a thing. They saw I was ready to compete, so they're like, "Oh, oxygen, you're good. Come on through. Oh my God!
It's all about who you know, man. They still go
right.
All about who you know. So I've had my own run-ins at the airport, and the guys be like, "Hey, just tell your coach this, tell your coach that." I mean, the last time I went, I had the Sandow, and at the end when you go leaving, they run it through the security scanner, right? So he ran all my bags and stuff through the security scanner, and he wanted to question me and ask me what this was and that was and this was, and all I had to really say at the end of the day was, I'm with Team Oxygen. He's like, "Oh, who's your coach?" And I said, "Abdullah." And then he says, "Abu Tabi?" And I said, "Yes." And he starts packing my bag back up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's great when you know people.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's awesome.
Brandon, so we've had a week or so ago, we had Dana Lynn Bailey on, and a recurring question we've asked Jose this, we asked Dana, people that have won really big shows, that it was at the top of the mountain for them for a long time, and then it finally happens. With you winning the Olympia last year, was it everything you hoped it would be? What was that moment like? Like with Dana, she said no. She said it was just a letdown. Like she had built this thing up so much, and the moment she won it, there weren't even photographers there. It was like nothing changed. And so for her, she thought, things were going to drastically change, and there was nothing. What was that moment like for you, and was it what you hoped it would be?
Well, first of all, I would say I realistically had no expectation of the actual moment, because I'm kind of like the guy that wants to stay in the moment. I don't want to corrupt the moment by having these preconceived notions, and that same thing she's talking about, the letdown. I don't really want to experience that kind of thing. So I kind of just let it flow with no real expectations, and just waited on things to happen. I did have, of course, there's always your goal to win, and I always had that desire to win, and I always knew eventually I'd make it to that mountaintop. But I just assumed, it just felt like this time was the right time. I'm like, this has got to be it. This has got to be it. So I had the anticipation on winning, but I just, as far as, okay, what this means, what's going to happen later, what's the next step, as far as everything after that, I just didn't want to imagine that too soon. I just wanted to take it as it came. So being the way things played out, they played out so organically, and they were just like, everything was like on time, especially when the family came on the stage, when I was talking about them and everything. It was just kind of like a really, really cool, surreal moment. So it almost didn't feel real. It almost kind of felt like a dream state. It's this dream, and I'm just really just trying not to overthink it, trying to just be here, feel everything, recognize everything, just trying to just take it all in. Like, is this real? Is this really tangible? Is this really happening? And that's how it was for me. So it didn't hit me, I guess. I talked to Jay and I talked to Sean Roden when I got off the stage, and they basically warned me. They said, it's not really going to hit you until a bit later. It says, we don't really know when. Sometimes it may be a week. Sometimes it may be days. We don't really know when it's going to hit you.
When that check arrives.
They say when it hits you, it's going to hit you. You know exactly when it's going to hit you. So I just kind of waited on that. And after the show, you're so busy. I mean, I spent a whole day with photo shoots. You got the seminar, you got to speak to people, everybody's pulling at you in all different directions. So you're almost like a zombie. You're almost like a zombie at that point. And you just kind of just doing what, they're just directing you around. So I got home. Once I got home, I finally got a chance to kind of catch up with myself. I think I went on a walk with the kids, came back in the house, was exhausted, sat on the bed with my wife, lay there for a minute, and I was just sitting there and I was just reminiscing over the weekend. I was just kind of thinking about it, And then all of a sudden, here it comes. Here comes this overwhelming feeling of emotion, all of these flashbacks coming back in my head. And next thing you know, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm like tears coming out. I'm talking to my wife, man, it actually just happened. It actually just happened. And I was just so thankful at that point, and so overwhelmed at that point, that I was like, okay, it definitely hit me at this point. There was no denying it, like I said.
So with you hitting that goal that you've been striving for your whole career, what's the feeling, a week after? Is it, I'm going to win as many of these damn things as I can? Is it, are you still not setting expectations and saying, you know what, we're just going to go into this year and whatever happens, happens? What's the feeling for you after winning it this year going into the 2020 Olympia?
Well, after winning it, man, I went on a really busy. I got really, really busy. Did an international travel. I was in Europe a lot. I did a tour, so I was really, really busy after. So I really didn't have time to process really what's next. It's been, I guess, this year in 2020 where I'm actually processing. Okay, what's next for me? What the goal is, and like I said, I'm gonna be like 1 year at a time.
He's doing that
So
Jay
this year,
Cutler
this
pose.
year, only thing anticipating, I don't have a number of like how many titles I plan to win. Uh, I don't have an idea about that, but I'm just taking it one day at a time. I'm just being grateful for what I have now, and I'm just thinking about the work that I'm gonna have to put in to maintain what I need to maintain. Is he there? Is he losing?
Yes.
I'm here. You were freezing a little bit, but we could hear you.
Is he there?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you see him? Yeah, I got you. There you go. So I wanted to ask you, and I know Brandy. A lot of the guys on the forums and social media know her because she lights them up. But Brandy is, for those who don't know, she's a former bikini competitor, beautiful, beautiful lady. And what a story. You guys have been together for a while now, and you got how many kids?
Got 4 kids, and we've been together 12 years now.
Crazy. So Brandy is your ride or die. I mean, she got your back. I rarely see you posting in social media like going back and forth with people, but she's not afraid. She goes in there, guns blazing. And talk a little bit about, do you ever have to go home and be like, babe, you got to chill a little bit, or say, good job, thanks for what you did, She's a riot. I love seeing her go in and light people up.
I just let her kind of be her, do her, because that's what works best. I mean, she's just tenacious, she's just a part of her personality, and she doesn't take any stuff, any junk. She grew up pretty tough. She grew up always defending herself. She grew up in a background of where she's a fighter, she's an athlete, she's all these things. So she just that's a part of her loving me, and I just gotta just let her do her thing, because it's not really my personality. So she kind of balanced me out in that way. I don't feel challenged by what people gotta say. I don't. It doesn't really bother me whatsoever. I mean, I've dealt with it at this point so much in my career that I'm really kind of immune to it at this point. It doesn't really. Sometimes it's amusing. I will say that, because sometimes the creativity that some people come at you with is kind of amusing, and I'm more amused by it than it actually makes me upset or angry. But for her, it's like she's like, oh, they're attacking my husband. They're talking about my husband, so she's gonna step up and she's gonna give him a tongue lash and set him straight. And she's pretty good at doing it. So, I mean, I do appreciate it at times. Yeah, I appreciate it at times, because I wouldn't necessarily do it for myself. So it's just not my style. But she's definitely gonna step up and be Mama Bear and make sure people have the right perception and set them straight.
If I ever need a pit bull, I'm gonna call her to sick her on some people. So
Brandon, have you found? Go ahead, Jose.
Go ahead, because we can touch on this in a minute.
Have you found, since becoming Mr. Olympia, that just the craziness online, social media, the haters, all that stuff, has picked up a lot? Like Phil Heath was really the first Mr. O living in the social media world. So we all got to sit back and watch how he dealt with getting attacked, and sort of a blueprint of what to do and what not to do. Is your game plan just to be what you just said, of like, this stuff's going to bounce off me, I'm not going to be fazed by it? Or have you thought sort of, with the sponsors you have and the role that you have as Mr. Olympia, there is a social media component, right? That at least people have expectations of you from sponsors or IFBB. Have you had to come up with a strategy of, you have to post, but of how you're going to deal with the haters online?
Well, I had the privilege, of course, watching Phil, of course, seeing some of his mistakes, seeing some of the way he just came across online. So I just didn't feel the need to just really just fight people online. I mean, I'll go back and forth with people online. I mean, it's just not my personality. I also seen what Sean had to deal with as well after winning the title, and so in my opinion, it's expected. You're the champion. Here comes the attack. Here comes the barrage. So when it came to me dealing with it, it's like, honestly, I don't really necessarily have to deal with it. It's expected. It's not gonna go away. I'm not the exception to the rule. Not everyone's gonna like me. Not everyone's gonna agree with me. So what am I gonna do? Am I gonna try to campaign against these guys? No, I'm not. I'm not gonna campaign and try to convince these people who oppose me to like me. It's just a lost cause, in my opinion. It's almost kind of like being Donald Trump. You got to be Donald Trump. They're gonna say people are gonna like you, and they're gonna like you. People are gonna hate you, and they're gonna hate you. And most of them, they don't really know why. They'll dislike you because of a lie, or they'll dislike you just because they don't like the way you sound, the way you said this, or the way you said that. It doesn't really matter. People online are just, they have an opinion and they're gonna use it no matter what. And it's gonna be in your favor sometimes, and sometimes it's not. And I look at it like that. It's not really worth me worrying about at this point. I mean, I've accomplished what I've had to accomplish, and I'm happy with that. And I can't let all these outside forces. I don't know. They make me want to feel bad about what I accomplished, or they make me want to give my trophy back. I don't know. I don't know what the goal is. I really don't understand. So I'm just gonna be me and let them do them and be entertained in the process.
I think that's a very good way to look at it. And a funny thing is that probably 7, maybe 8 years ago, there was a picture floating around of you and Kai from the New York Pro. And in the photo, it's clear as day, Kai is about 4 inches taller than you. In real life, you guys are the same height.
Yeah.
So that picture was doctored, clearly. I mean, Kai was huge, but you weren't 5'2", 180 pounds. There was a picture, Nate. I don't know if you ever saw it.
I love that picture, because I didn't really pay that much attention. I was just happy that I actually had a comparison with Kai. It was my second pro show.
Yeah.
And I'm happy I actually got a picture beside Kai. And I was like, this is crazy. So it was motivation for me. I'm like, oh man, I got a lot of work to do. I mean, Kai, you crazy. So I didn't take it as like an insulting picture at the time. I was more like, whoa, this is super cool. I mean, who gets a photo with Kai in their second pro show, being compared on stage, So it wasn't like, to me, it wasn't, I mean, I know people looked at it differently to me, but for me, it was like a motivational picture. It was something that I thought was cool. And, I was kind of like, wow, this is amazing. Because back in the day, I could only dream of being where Kai was. Kai just came to the New York Pro that year just to qualify for the Olympia. And he came in and dominated, and I got to be there to see it, So for me, cool experience. And then I got a picture with him, and that was just icing on the cake for me. So I didn't really care much about what everybody was saying about, being dwarfed, because I'm like, okay, it's my second pro show. I got a lot of work to do. I understand that. So for me, it was not a big issue.
Well, it's a great story. It's a great lesson, because 10 years later, you have an Olympia Sandow, and Kai still doesn't.
Exactly,
and you could have taken it the wrong way and got all upset, and I never heard you say a word about it. And
no, I know what the picture was to me. I mean, I'm not gonna go back and change my mind or my perspective just because people want to use a narrative, a different narrative for it or whatever. Well, for me, it was a cool picture, and it will always be a cool picture for me.
Yeah, it's awesome. Go ahead, Nate.
So about a month ago, we had Abdullah on the podcast, along with Ahmad. I know you've been working with Abdullah for about 3-4 years now.
Maybe 3 seasons. Yes.
Okay, 3 seasons, and you've worked with Hani before. Can you talk about the differences from your perspective of their coaching styles, or what you got out of doing preps with them?
Mm-hmm. Well, Hani, I saw with him. He was my first actual coach. So back in 2007, I worked with him for the Nationals. We didn't work together to go pro, but we tried to work together for my pro debut, which really didn't work out. When I first started working with Hani, he wasn't really popular. He was just working with Phil for the most part. As I continued to work with Hani, he was, he developed the FST7 system. He started promoting shows. He started coaching women. and he was even hosting shows at that time up in Northern California.
Sacramento.
Yeah, exactly. So he got a lot busier. When we first started, he was pretty attentive. You know, he was really about the X and O's. And if you don't know anything about Hani, he's more of a just motivated. Like he's like, you know, come on, let's get it. Like he puts that intensity in there, and he's like, and it really, to me, he puts it in a way that it's not necessarily applied because I'm not really in the gym. If I'm in the gym, it's a different story. But if I'm in my room getting ready for a show and you're trying to get me hype and psych me into it, I'm just not that. I'm just a chill guy, you know. I don't need to be psyched up. You know, I don't deal with being nervous or anything. So I'm just gonna go try to execute.
It's not a UFC fight.
Yeah. So, but Hadi's more like, you know, he's more like, you know, I don't know. Some athletes need that. They need that kind of pick me up, drive. Let's go. Like you're fighting something. You know, they need that kind of experience or intensity to kind of get them psyched into what they're doing. That's not necessarily me, but you know, he was really about the X and O's, and he was really about you know, dieting principles. Man, I remember one diet I ate so much that I literally I would throw up at least one time a day, guaranteed, because I was so full. I'd eat a full meal, and I'm so full to getting that meal down, and I'll puke at least one time a day, and then before I know it, I have to eat again and eat again. It was just hell amount of food. So I remember that portion. He definitely loved pasta. I got so much pasta, man. I don't want to eat pasta ever again. So, but he wasn't a bad coach. He was a good coach. We got results, but I don't think we matched personality-wise that much, you know, because I think I was just kind of like too laid back for him. He couldn't really read me, you know. And Abdullah, on the other hand, first of all, when I first met Abdullah and had a conversation with him about me, it was in Kuwait. I was doing the Kuwait Classic. I had just previously met him a week or two earlier at prejudging at the Olympia. And that's when he asked me, you know, basically I complimented him on Victor Martinez. Said he did a great job reviving him, bringing him back. You know, that was crazy. I never seen anything like that. And he basically looked at me and says, man, you want to come to Kuwait? And I went, huh? And he says, I think I can make you top 6 in the world. So I was like, whoa. So I said, look, I'll be in Kuwait in a week or two, and we can talk about it there. So at some point in Kuwait, he picked me up, and we were driving. And I was just shocked with the amount he knew about me. He knew my best looks. He was even there at some of the shows, some of the Olympias. He said, I saw you here, I saw you there. He said, I've been wanting to work with you for a while now. And he let me know that he's vouching for me to work with the Oxygen team. Everybody wasn't necessarily in agreement with me being on the team, but he was determined to work with me, so he was in my corner vouching for me. He also laid out a plan for the next season. What show he wanted me to do, what he wanted me to do, and this and that. And he just seemed like he had everything laid out all together. It would be stupid of me to have said no, because he just had this picture already in his mind. So I got to working with him, and we balance each other out, I'd say. I'm more laid back, I'm more chill, and he's more upbeat, more tenacious, more, you know, he's just go. So being able to work with him, he's got, I don't know if he's got a photographic memory or something, but when he looks at me, he observes details that I don't think normal people would necessarily analyze. And then as he's learning me, he learned my body so fast, he was able to make predictions and then test his predictions by just, I guess, bringing it up. Like, I think this is going to happen in the next few days. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen in the next few days. And then next thing you know, he's right. And then he would go back and forth with me about certain details, and he would question me to see where I was at. And he would like understand, he would let me know that he understood me better than I understood me. So, because he would challenge my thoughts, you know, and ask me my opinion. And sometimes I would be wrong. Most of the time I would be wrong. And he could go back in his notes and he could confirm that he was right. And I was wrong about something. So it just allowed me to put my trust in him, like thoroughly. And not only that, but we're almost like brothers. Because when we're together, we're training together. He does cardio with me. He trains with me, and we'll hang out. You know what I mean? So I'm with this guy we reach each other all the time. So he knows how I'm feeling. He knows what kind of day I had. He knows when I'm not communicating. He knows that I'm dealing with something. I'm stressed or I'm beat down. He picks up on all these signals because we spent so much time together. So when it comes to the details and it comes to changing things, he's so accurate in his adjustments when it comes to manipulating different things in my diet, different things in my training, because he's always there and he's so in tune with what's going on with me. So we just gel like that. I mean, it's just, I mean, I've had a lot of good coaches, but I haven't gelled with any coach like I've gelled with Abdullah, and that's why we got the results that we were able to get.
What was that conversation like? Once you spoke with Abdullah and he says, "We want you to come to Kuwait. I'm vouching for you. This is what it entails. You move out here." What was that first conversation like with your wife, Brandy? I can imagine, you can clearly tell you're a family guy, and that's not an easy decision for anybody. It's hard enough for somebody that has to travel for a living for work, but you're coming home on the weekends. You're going to be gone for long stretches. Was that a hard decision for you? Was it something that Brandy was maybe fighting in the early stages, not wanting you to leave for that long?
Well, I'll tell you like this: before the opportunity even reared its head, Brandy asked me one day if I'd go to Kuwait and train it with oxygen. If they asked me, I immediately said no. I said, no, I won't, because I didn't really want to think about it. I didn't really want to process it, and I didn't think it was really likely. So I just said no, just be done with it and leave it alone. So the opportunity came, of course, and I had to ask her about it, and she was like, even though she didn't want me gone for long and everything, she was just behind me and said, "Look, you do this. I got you. I'll take care of everything while you're here. Go do this. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. You gotta give us a chance." And she reminded me of the things she said previously, and it was just like I couldn't. I was kind of the one dragging and kind of processing it mentally and not really knowing for sure whether I was going to do it or not. And she was the one. Did you call Abdullah? Did you talk to him? Did you do this? Did you do that? She was the one kind of pushing me out the door to go ahead and get this process started. And I'm just being my patient self. And I'm like, no, it's not time to talk to him yet. And he said, contact me here. I'm just, because I'm still processing. Like I got to be away, and I'm I don't know, I don't know what I'm gonna do with as far as family situation, and it's like the pressure of getting to be successful because, I'm taking this big risk and wasting all this time. I can't go there if I don't have my mind right. Then I'm gonna just put my all into this. So, there's a lot I was processing, and she was the one who was just really encouraging me to take this opportunity and make me reassured that, it was okay for me to do.
Let's try to clear up some of the misconceptions. People think that, the guys are just going over to Kuwait because they get the special supplements there, or, everything's taken care of. I know of quite a few of the athletes that went over there and they didn't have everything taken care of for them. They had to pay for certain things, or, where some athletes have, like a full sponsorship or scholarship, we should say, where your room and board is taken care of, the food is taken care of, the training is taken care of, the supplementation, massage, all those things. Now, I would say from what I heard, very few have the full scholarship. Can you elaborate on that?
You're probably right. I could name names as far as that's concerned.
Rollie.
Yeah, me and Rollie for the most part. I mean, Rami was in that picture.
Yeah.
We got pretty much the king's treatment, so to speak. And others had to more earn the king's treatment. Like Nathan, he had to earn his way into it, so where he would get more privileges and whatnot. So, I mean, Batter, he's a businessman, and he's willing to take care of you, but he wants to make sure you're able to produce. So I don't see a problem with that. But I will say this: Abdullah also was so confident in me that he also was willing to invest whatever he needed to into me as well. So it was like he was willing to say, he didn't want me to worry about anything. And no matter if he had to if he had to come out of his pocket, he didn't care because he was so confident in what we were doing that he was fully invested in me, no matter what was going on with what the oxygen was doing at the time. But I can't say that I wasn't taken care of in both arenas as well. So I didn't really have to worry about anything as far as they don't want me to stress about anything. If something was late, or something had to be taken care of right away, I'll do it. But let me just take care of it until Batter can get to see to it or whatever may happen. So I was never lacking any time I was there. As far as super supplements and stuff, you've been there. We have more easier access because it's like a culture there. But as far as anything special, I haven't used anything that I hadn't known about previously. So
Right.
it's not like anything was like super new to me. I've heard different rumors from other people, but I'm like, I don't know where you're getting this stuff from because if it's happened, I've never seen it in person, and
Right.
we're pretty transparent with each other. I mean, a lot of things take place in front of each other. We hang out a lot, so it's kind of hard to miss things,
Right.
So I don't know what some of these theories come from, but like I said, I haven't personally seen a lot of the things some of the people try to discuss online or accuse the Oxygen King of doing.
So is it true that Rollie ruined your deep tissue massage privileges because he was overusing it, getting a couple massages a day?
I don't know specifically, but I do know that that they did make sure we were limited to our weekly massages, that we wouldn't try to go in there and get them every day. So it may be the case. Rollie's he could be a little spoiled up there at Oxygen, and
That's what I heard.
he could be a little spoiled. So I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. That's very believable that happened, even though I don't know, know if that's the case. It's a very believable scenario because I know, I was told that. I was like, huh? What? We're limited to how many massages we can get, and I don't know where that came from, but now that you say that, it's very possible
That's
that
where it
Rollie.
came from. Yeah, I learned that when I was over there.
Yeah, Rollie, he loves, Batter loves Rollie. He's like a little kid in the candy store there, and he's always trying to get what he can get, and always trying to get that king's treatment. So
Yeah.
I know what's allowed and what we can do while watching Rollie. But what's going on with Rollie? Rollie has. Let me see if I can get that. Let me see if I can do this, do that.
Yeah. You should. Now you're Mr. Olympia. You should get whatever you want.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, I'm just now Mr. Olympia, but this is coming up, along the way.
Yeah.
I kind of learned the ropes by watching Rollie, because Rollie, he's been there. I think he's probably there the longest, I believe. Yeah, he's probably there the longest. So, he has all the
5 or 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. He has all the relationships, and he's established himself as an athlete there, and he's taken care of, so as he should be. Because he definitely works hard, man. Rollie
Right.
definitely is a hard worker, so he definitely gets deserves that king treatment. Man.
So we are approximately 5 months out from the 2020 Olympia. What is on your mind? What is the plan? Are you heading out there soon, or are things unknown? How's your training going now in Tennessee? What's going on? Do you feel like stressed about the unknown, or are you just planning to do things as normal?
Well,
Are you delaying the trip? What's going on?
I'm trying not to stress because it's kind of like everything changes on a daily, weekly basis sometimes. So I'm trying not to stress. We have some plans and preparations, but I'm not probably going to be able to go to Kuwait because Kuwait is still kind of shut down, still kind of closed. I was talking to a dude just the other day about it. We do have some off-site plans. So if everything opens up for international travel like you're expecting, and they're sure about that, we have another location we can actually go and meet up and train and prepare.
On Fight Island?
Yeah, well, kind of like Fight Island,
In Abu
exactly.
Dhabi?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, yeah, you kind of know. So, yeah, so that's an option for us if things kind of open up. That's kind of like the strategy that we have now. I do have a backup plan. I have a gym hopefully opening towards the end of August here that I've kind of laid out and took some of the big pieces that I like from Oxygen and I incorporated them in this facility, and I kind of got it laid out as my home base. So, you know, that's going to be really important when it comes to this clutch time. If I don't get to go, I'll at least have a place to where it's pretty much home to me, and some of the resources that I would have when I go out to Oxygen, I'll be able to utilize them and kind of get in that really that zone what I need to be in for these last phases of the training. But we got to say, this year is going to be a psychological battle for not only me, for everybody, because I mean we got guys overseas that don't even know if they're going to be able to come into the U.S. and even compete at this point. So it's psychological. It's been one of those things to where, okay, you turn it up and you got your mindset. It's go time, and then all of a sudden something happens and you're like, okay, I have to be rational here. Completely changed the dates, they completely changed the timelines here. I can't go with this pace to this extent for this amount of time. Let me regroup, let me refocus, let me pace myself. So I've had to do that a couple times here, and so it's really, it's a really psychological thing that, I'm trying to stay in the zone. I'm trying not to stress. I'm trying to only worry about things I can control. And it's not the same. It's not the same for me as far as preparation here because being a dad, everything pops up. So your day could be going perfect, and this little boy here is having a bad day, or this little boy here, or this little girl, this is happening here, and you have to take care of it right away. You have to do that right away. You have to tend to that right away, and regardless of what you had laid out, what you had planned for that time, you got to be accepting your responsibilities and do what you need to do. So I'm running into that a little bit as well. So I'm having to change a lot of the ways I'm kind of doing things in order to get things done. And I'm training every day to the best of my ability. I'm trying to push myself, but I'm kind of waiting on this timeline. When the Tampa happens, when this Tampa goes down, I know that it's more hope on the other end of the tunnel, and I'll be more encouraged to even step it up even another notch because I got an opportunity to go down to Florida. It was the last week, and kind of hang out with Tim and kind of feel that Florida scene. And we had a lot of people come out to the seminar, and they're just itching to compete. They're itching to do something. They're looking for hope. So that being there with the athletes is really motivating to see the athletes still trying to pull whatever they can out of this season. And I just wish and I hope that, a lot of these people have the opportunity to step on stage. I mean, of course, we had some shows last week, which was great. I think the first week we actually had, 8 shows that first week. And that was great. And so it put a little hope, but some areas are still not open, even with gyms. Right. So I mean, these athletes are doing all they can, and my hat's going out to them, and especially the ones that are doing it. They're doing it, with enclosed areas, where they're still trying to get the garage gym. They're still trying to prepare and do all these things. My hat goes off to them. So we'll just it's kind of still wait and see because we don't want to be stupid. We don't want to burn ourselves at both ends. But when that window's set, I know the date's not going to change anymore. So the timeline is there.
Right.
So timeline is there. You just have to be on it. You have to be confident in what's going to happen, regardless if it happens or not. Because I'm thinking of George the Bull. I'm thinking of him. He's going up to 212. He's fit this whole off season.
Yeah.
Nice physique, and he's going to try to do this Tampa, do his pro debut at Tampa. Now, I did my pro debut at Tampa 10 years ago. It's been 10
I remember.
Years.
I was there.
So I'm thinking to myself, like, 10 years ago, if that's all this is going on, I mean, how would I be into the game mentally? So George is looking great. I've seen the pictures, and he's put on size. He's made the improvements.
He looks unreal.
So I'm thinking to myself, man, this guy is like, he's got this bulletproof. He had to have this bulletproof mentality. My hat goes off there. So I hope that he's able to make it to the stage because, I mean, like I said, I hope all these guys are able to make it to the stage and we're able to have these shows because I mean, with Olympia, we got a little bit more time to deal with, but I mean, they don't have no time at all. So it's do or die. I mean, and they just what? They just canceled the San Antonio, which is another one of Tim's show.
Yeah.
And that's in Texas. You know, and Texas is,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit more liberal. I mean, not a little bit more liberal against all these regulations, I guess you would say.
Right. Right.
And they've had to cancel that event. So that's like a heartbreaker. So it's really just wait and see, and kind of do what you can do with what we have. I mean, I'm not taking this year for granted, and I've been fortunate enough to really spend time, relax, regroup, refresh, which is something I really haven't done, and then catch up with the family. So I've looked at that. I've been able to do that, but you know, really, I'm really biting at the bit to really, really, really get in my zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my zone, where I can just relinquish everything that's going on around me and only focus on bodybuilding. That's what I'm really longing for right now.
So I seen an ad recently, and I seen on a couple of the social media chat groups, people finding it disrespectful or just throwing around the idea where there was, you know, there's an ad from the Olympia committee that they put out, you know, pictures with Flex Lewis with his hand up saying a new era has begun. Do you personally find that disrespectful, or is it just, it is what it is? It's a great way to promote the show. You don't care. We'll talk a little bit about that, because I know some people find it disrespectful, but what are your thoughts?
If you're paying attention, and you're not looking to be offended, you'll realize that those ads contain more than just Flex Lewis. They had ads for me with that same slogan. For
Dexter.
With the same slogan. So it's not a personal.
People like to stir the pot.
It's not a personal thing. So for me, they have to promote the event, and they have to. It's a business, you know. And there's, you know, why would they not use a champion like Flex Lewis to promote the Olympia? It would be dumb business decision if they didn't do that, considering he's coming back to compete. So I don't take offense to it at all. I understand it's a business, and they have to do what's necessary to get people interested in buying tickets. I mean, this is what has to be done. So now I'm not offended by it because I have eyes to see what's going on. To not just sit there and go, oh, how could they do Flex like that? I mean, they came out with my image first saying the same thing. So if I didn't see that one, and I only saw Flex's, maybe I'd be like, oh, I'd be butt hurt or something. I don't
know. So that being said, give me your feelings and predictions of Flex stepping it up, and where do you think he lands, and do you think he's gonna get a call out right next to you?
You know, I think Flex is because of who Flex is and because of what he's accomplished, he's going to get the respect that he's deserved on that stage. And I do believe he's going to be in the top call out, and we will be compared. I'm pretty sure of it. Because, you know, Flex has a reputation. You know, he has a reputation of stepping up to the plate and doing what's necessary. And you can't take that away from him. So you have to respect him in that fashion. So he deserves it, and he deserves to be in that top call out compared with the top guys. And, you know, I believe, you know, if everything goes as we hope it to go and everybody shows up the way they need to show up and are allowed to compete, you know, I know he's going to be in the mix of the top five. I know he's not, and he's not going to be out. I doubt he's going to be outside that top five mix. Even at the 212 physique, I felt, you know, he could really be challenging in that spot. So if he actually improved up on his physique from there, he's definitely going to be in that spot. You know, I definitely know. I'm not naive enough to know that that's the case. I don't have an ego. My ego's not too big to admit that. And I know he's working hard. He's doing what he can as well. And you know, as a great champion, he's gonna try to bring his best. And I'm looking forward to it because, you know, it is a new era, and it's more interesting the more guys we come in and be in the mix. So when they talk Phil Heath and when they talk Kai Green, possibly coming back and all these things, you know, that's not really a discouraging thing. That's a pretty cool thing. I mean, when you can have that many champions on stage competing against each other for a title. I mean, man, as a fan of the sport, that's
exciting.
That's exciting. How much more exciting, can you get than that? And just to be a part of it and a part of that history is enough in itself. I mean, that's something that you'll never forget. You'll never.
It's an opportunity for you to grow your legacy.
Exactly.
To beat these champions.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing. It's like this is something that I've been dreaming and imagining and hoping for a long time to get that opportunity, and to see that it may not have played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out, or these guys wasn't going to be there. It was kind of like, oh man, it's kind of like, it's almost like it's somewhat of a letdown in a way, if I really, really think back to what my young mind was maybe possibly expecting at the pinnacle. So having that possibility be there is really, really an exciting thing. And what that does for motivation is even more of an interesting thing, because I mean, these guys have motivated me to be better my whole career.
They're the best of the best.
Exactly. So I mean, what won't potential stepping on stage with these guys do for that mentality when they commit? Because we hear these things, but of course you hear these things, but no one's really committing, because if they did, it'd be advertised, right?
Right.
I watched an interview that you did with Valuetainment back in October last year, just after you won, and you were asked your feelings on what if next year, meaning this year 2020, Kai comes back, Phil comes back, Sean comes back. So fast forward to now, we're 5 months out, and you have to be making your plans of where you're going to train, right, depending on where you're living. If you're a betting man now, who are you putting money on, if any? Does Phil come back? We know Sean wants to come back. Is Sean allowed to compete? Does Kai come back? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was really, really hopeful, because you hear these voices, you hear these expectations, and then they die, and then you hear them again, and then they die, and it's just like, it's almost discouraging, because I want to hear it out the horse's mouth. I really do. That they're gonna do it. I mean, I don't want to hear this. Kai's been notorious for dragging us on and playing this thing out and using it to his advantage in the media and publicity wise. So I'm not really confident until I see him promoted by the Olympia themselves that he will be on stage. And it's almost the same for Phil. I mean, I don't know what kind of condition Phil is right now. This is a hard time for the sport as far as, sponsorship, athletes making money. I know he had a surgery and whatnot. But I don't know how prepared he will be at this point, realistically, to step on stage at this point. I mean, I'm hopeful that it's a possibility, but until, he makes that statement, until the Olympia starts promoting it, it's still like, I'm not putting a lot of weight on it at this point, because I just don't want to be discouraged by putting my hope in his baskets and then being let down by not happening. So I have to be realistic, and it's the same thing when it comes to Sean as well. He's got a lot going on, and legally, I don't know if he has the freedom to step on stage without having a verdict or anything looking in his favor, because that kind of taints the sport a little bit. I don't know if they're willing to take that risk at this point. And as a business, you have to respect that risk they're willing to take or not take. So I don't think that's very likely either. So right now, until I see more, I'm not really confident. That doesn't mean I don't want it to happen. It's just that I'm not really confident that it's gonna happen.
Brandon, what noticed anything in terms of with Jake Wood purchasing the Olympia, with you as the reigning Mr. Olympia? Has anything changed for you yet with new ownership?
Yeah, actually, yes. I guess it was. I mean, it may have been a month ago, almost a month ago now. I actually got a chance to go out to Arizona to the new headquarters there, and they're trying to step it up a lot with the media. So if you don't know, there was a was it was it Monday Night Muscle was an episode that recently came out, I think last week, with Sean Ray, Bob Ciccarello. I was featured on that episode, and we were in a full virtual studio for that. And so they're doing some things to kind of get the production going, get some excitement going. I was also on a show with Alina Popa and Linda Murray as well, and it was on the same kind of scale. So these things will be coming out, and they're doing more with athletes, and they're just really trying to put more into it. And just talking to Jake, and just having dinner with him, and speaking with him about his expectations, his confidence, and the Olympia going on, and what he's doing to try to manage this and maintain it, and how he doesn't really speak about anything unless he has paperwork and everything done, and some of his potential future plans. I mean, it's just exciting to have somebody that's really for the sport. I mean, I never have spoken to David Pecker or anybody like that about any of this stuff. So I don't know where this guy's mind at. I don't know what his personality is like, but I feel like I know who Jake is, and I feel like I know his love for the sport, and I know where the direction he's trying to go, and I just feel confident in the sport because Jake's in this position that it's going to go above and beyond. Already with the expectations and the changes, the new contracts, the different things they've negotiated, him and Dan Solomon. I mean, it brings a new kind of excitement to the Olympia for the fans and the athletes. And he's basically said in the Sands Theater, there's not a bad seat in the house. It's a theater. Bodybuilding is going back to being in a theater setting. That means better lighting, better viewing for the spectators, and just more intimate experience for the fans as a whole. So with these changes, I mean, it's going to be incredible. So I'm really looking forward to what Jake's going to do this year and in the future, because he said he's been limited this year. He wasn't able to do as much as he wanted to do, not only because of the circumstances, just because, it's just a transitional year as well for him. So I'm really confident that, the Olympia is going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy event in the upcoming years. It's going to grow and grow and grow. And it's going to make bodybuilding just be great again, if you could say that.
So where are you at this stage of the game compared to last year? We had, as Nate said, we had Abdullah on. He sent me a couple pictures. He wouldn't let me show anyone. But you looked unreal. I don't know if he was pulling our leg, but he was like, he's 282 in these photos. And you were ripped. You looked round and full, but I don't know if he was lying.
He shared those pictures with me, and those pictures got leaked, by the way. I would say that. They got leaked. Someone asked me about these pictures. They said, "All these pictures recent?" And I'm like, "What? What do you mean all these pictures recent? What are you talking about?" I thought he was talking about something else on my social media. I said, I was responding. He said, "No, this picture. Send it to me." And I'm like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh, that was like a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago. That was not really recent."
Yeah, Abdullah's sending them out.
Yeah, I know. I found that out because I talked to him about it. When I was like, "How'd they get out?" Because I wasn't expecting that to get out. So
we wanted to put it up on the podcast as he was talking, and I asked him. He's like, "No, brother, no." I'm like, all right.
Yeah, hey, and he still wanted to put it out. He wanted to put it out, and now he's wondering why I'm apprehensive about getting him some pictures, because I'm like, man, he can't keep it to himself.
Right.
I mean, I'm looking pretty good. I mean, as far as where I am right now, I'm confident that I can do what needs to be done with the time frame that I have. And I'm not really what I would call heavily on the gas as of yet. Yeah. So
what is your weight?
So right now, we'll put this. I'm under 270, so I'll say that. I'll just say that.
Do you typically get up to 280?
I get up to 280. I've gotten up to 280 before when we were trying to really, really put the mass on.
Yeah.
It's not necessary for me now to get up that heavy.
No.
necessarily 280. So I don't think we'll be above 275 this year, just because it's I don't think it's productive to be
And
that
what are
heavy.
you, barely 5'8"?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's productive to be that heavy because we were experimenting when I got up to that 280 point. We were playing with my body, learning my body at that point when I was getting that heavy. I don't think it's necessary for me to get that heavy,
No.
just because it's just we know how my body responds, and typically going into a show, I'm still putting in on muscle when I'm going into a show.
Right.
Not like I'm one of those guys that has to be big and I'm coming down like 40, 50 pounds
Right.
it's just not that's not how it works for me. I'm as I start to train and do certain things, put certain things in, my body just kind of responds favorably, and I'm just like I was able to. My first show with Dula was in I think it was 11 weeks. We did my first show,
Wow.
and that's full off season. That's everything.
Wow.
And we were able to win that New Zealand and do Australia the next week. So once we get into it, my body can change just really, really fast. And that's one of the things I use in my favor. So it's not necessary for me to, reach these super high weights in the off season, stressing my health really, really bad, and then trying to cut it all down. It's not really necessary, because what we find out is you don't hold on. You got a lot of water and stuff you're carrying just to be at that weight. And you lose so much of that it's like, is it worth really walking around that heavy, really?
Yeah, it's not good for you either.
Yeah, exactly.
And size at this point is not an issue for you. If someone's going to beat you, it's going to be because they're a lot harder than you.
Exactly.
So you just got to focus on what you got and being conditioned. Your shape and your muscularity are top there is.
And that's my prime focus for this season is bringing the conditioning. It was hard for me to bring the conditioning like I wanted to last year because peaking at the Arnold, I didn't really understand that concept until I tried to. That's the first time I tried to do that scenario, Arnold and Olympia, and I didn't realize how hard it was. And luckily, I was naive. Luckily, I was. And then I hear, okay, I'm only the third man to win both shows. I'm like, okay, now I understand why.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and why? Because when you come out of the Arnold, you don't have that. You don't have that window to get that calorie increase, that off-season calorie increase really, really high, to where you can come down again and get the body responding the same way for the Olympia.
You got about 6 to 8 weeks before you got to start dieting again.
And it's not, your body's not at the same metabolism rate as you were. Now, I would say this, I was able to put on muscle in between because my body, no matter what I was doing, it seemed like it wanted to volumize and grow.
Because you're rebounding.
Yeah, my metabolism wasn't at the point to where I could actually, even though we were dieting down like we were expected to, and we're doing our cardio, my body wasn't coming down at the rate that you normally expect it to. And let's put it this way: the differences will be an average 30 minutes of cardio for the Arnold versus 2 hours average for the Olympia prep. So it was a lot more work to kind of try to pull us down and get me as lean as possible. And that was what we noticed. But as we were getting into prep, it was exciting because I was like, man, I'm dropping calories, I'm staying full, I'm looking big and volumized, scale's not moving much. It was crazy. But as we continually try to pull down, we realized what reason that was. The body wasn't really sucked down. So it was a wonder we was able to achieve that. So being fresher this year, I'm not going to really have to deal with that kind of scenario coming into the Olympia.
So would you ever do it again?
I don't think I would, unless I don't think necessarily I would. It's been done. It's been done 3 times, and just those odds alone.
It's an extra $150K.
It is. It definitely is. It definitely is. But it's still a risk to take, because the odds are so low that you'll be able to do both. Now, if it's likely, it's probably more than likely because of the season. It's more than likely to happen next year, if any year.
Right.
Because of the season we've had this year.
You can ride right in from December.
Exactly. So it just depends on how the body is stressing and responding, because that's what's most important. I wouldn't want to just push it for the sake of pushing it, because it's going to mess up the Olympia for the year following year. And by the way, the Olympia probably will never be in September again.
Really?
It probably will never be in September again.
Are you assuming that, or did you hear that?
I've kind of heard some conversations that it's not likely to probably be in September.
Why is that?
Just because of, just think about it. Just think about it in a sense of timing, and then the catch up that they have to do next season for all the other shows.
To prepare for 21.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's gonna be a really, kind of chaotic year, trying to get them organized and getting the shows reestablished, and trying to get the qualification practices. And I think it'll be so much easier to have it later than earlier next year.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to just have it be the main event and no shows after it than it would be to,
It should be on Halloween. So
yeah. I think
all the freak shows in the world will be there.
October is probably more likely, to be honest. I think that was something that I heard as well. October is probably more likely.
That makes sense. I think it used to be in October.
Yeah, it used to be, exactly. It did used
to be. Go ahead,
what
Nate.
What did you know about Athleticon before it got shut down for this year? Obviously, they're pushing it to next year. Rumored to be really big money for men's bodybuilding, so I'm assuming you at least had some interest in doing it and obviously had an invite. Do you have any more details on what that was supposed to be or what you think it'll be next year?
Well, what I would say, I wasn't necessarily willing to compete in it this year if it happened. I did get some details on the show, and it looked a certain way, but it wasn't actually, the actuality of it wasn't the way it looked. So it wasn't in my interest as far as doing the show, because I didn't, as the Olympia champion, I wasn't in agreement with everything that they were trying to portray at the event. It's good for bodybuilding as a sport as a whole, just to have such a big event, but it wasn't necessarily bodybuilding centered, and it wasn't necessarily in the favor of my division. I'll just put it that way. Okay. My division being the top dogs, the work we have to put in. We're used to being treated a certain way, and to be, so to speak, equal to everybody else is not what we're used to. So I'm not really going to kind of campaign for that kind of thing for our division.
Interesting. So the hope was, I would assume, at least for you guys as competitors, at least when the show was announced, that even though it's within the IFBB, it's not a competing league like Vince McMahon's old thing, that the shows might fight against each other, and the prize money would go up, right? My understanding, at least, is the Olympia always has to be top dog, and that the league tends to squash other people that might want to put on shows and have huge prize money, because the Olympia has to be the biggest show, in theory, based on history. But I guess the hope would be, if enough people are knocking at the door trying to throw out money, and maybe now with Jake Wood versus AMI owning it, Olympia might be able to go up more, and other shows might follow, and more people could make a decent living in this sport.
Yeah, more people. I mean, it's good. It's good that I was in agreement with some of the other divisions getting more money, but with the other divisions getting more money, they're still limited to the amount of money that they can put into the event, which means if other divisions get more money than other divisions that used to the money won't get as much money.
You get less. Yeah.
So basically, it's kind of at an even playing field. From what I heard, no matter what division you're in, all the stats were the same, which is good for some divisions, but for other divisions, it just doesn't seem quite what we're used to. So I wasn't really excited for that. I mean, some of those details maybe weren't transparent as they probably should have been in the contractual stuff like that. We're kind of it was a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily specifically disclosed in the contracts and whatnot. But just hearing, what the ideas and the plans were, I kind of knew it was something that it wasn't something I was ready to participate in at this point. Now, of course, it's going to have opportunities to change and evolve and grow and do what it needs to do to be successful. But as of the first year, I wasn't very excited to be in that first year of competition. Even though it's a great event, the chances for celebrity and being on the Hollywood carpet and stuff like that are potentially there. But I didn't get into bodybuilding to be famous, so it's not really tempting for me.
So you've been kind of a sneaky guy to the casual fan. Some of them may not have, known how good you were in the last 10 years. Tell me how many shows you've actually won, because I know you've snuck in and won quite a few. What are you, around 8 or 9 wins?
Oh man, I don't even. You know what? I don't. That's a good question. I'm not a stats guy, so I'd have to look that up on Google to think it
You
out, man.
can't rip. So when was your first pro win?
My first pro win was in Brazil.
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 In 13?
Yeah, in 13. Yep. Then I won like I think it was Toronto. I won Australia. Let's see.
New Zealand.
I won. Let's see. Perigno.
Yeah.
My wife probably she's letting me know she's up for repeating. She has better recall than me when it comes to these stats. For me, it's like. For me,
did you win South Africa too?
No, I didn't win that South Africa. No, I didn't win that South Africa. They stopped. Yeah, they stopped with being with the pro league. I went the first year they had it, but after the first year they had it, they didn't have it anymore as under the pro league. So
right.
So
you got to be 7 or 8, some right around there.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't. It doesn't matter at this point.
It's funny that you don't know. Most people you ask, they're like, boom.
No,
I got 9 and 17 second places.
Nah, not me. That's like I don't know. I'm not a. I know Dexter, people like that to keep up with stats, but for me, I'm just not a. I'm not a stats guy in any way. I don't even any kind of sports. I don't really keep up with stats, but it's just not. I don't know. It's just not me. Maybe I'm not a numbers guy. Numbers. I'm like numbers, dates, all those kind of things.
That's what you get Brandy for.
Exactly.
So speaking of Dexter, how old are you now? 35?
No, I'm 37.
37. Yeah. Are your joints feeling good? Are you feeling great? How long do you want to do this?
Hey, you know what? I want to do it. I want to do it until
your Dexter's age.
I'm kind of like out of love with it. I mean, I don't want to do it to Dexter's age. I'll be honest. I don't want to do it that long. I want to do it to like, I feel like I'm established enough to move on to something else, and still, be active in the sport as far as, being an ambassador for the sport and, maybe, giving back in whatever ways I can to the sport. I want to be comfortable. I want to reach that comfortability where I can say, okay, I'm good. I'm done. I've accomplished enough. It's time for me to sit back and spectate and watch and give back to this industry that's done so many things for me. So when I feel like I'm at that point, that's when I know I'm done. I don't have a specific goal, so to speak, as far as I gotta have this many wins, because I've seen that fall apart as well. So I don't want that to discourage me or be let down by not being accomplished something else. But I just, like I said, I want to walk away with the sense of freedom, accomplishment, being happy of what I was able to do, and it's something to move on to, something else to move on to go after, to get better at, to pursue as hard as I was pursuing this sport for so long.
So have you been in any talks with any of the international promoters to like try to get you out there, like on the tour after the Olympia, go to Prague or Korea, wherever? Through the years, there used to be a bunch of shows after the Olympia, and if so, would you do it to get international fans to get to see you in person?
I'm a big international kind of guy. I mean, I train internationally. I have international sponsor in SciTech out of Hungary, so I spent a lot of time overseas after the Olympia. Spent a lot of time in Hungary. I spent a lot of time in Europe. I went to Spain. I went to Portugal. So, I like going to places like Brazil. So we did a small tour with the Global Muscle Tour. Got around to a lot of gyms. Got to see a lot of international fans. So I love doing that, man. I love doing that because this bodybuilding career of mine has allowed me to travel all over the world. I've been to Iraq. I've been to places that other people may be scared to go.
Yeah.
So, you know, and wherever you go, you find these great, awesome bodybuilding fans. You know, no matter, you know, what the political environment is, no matter, you know, what kind of government it is, you find these awesome, awesome bodybuilding fans that just respect and admire what you do. So wherever they like bodybuilding, uh, bodybuilders can find themselves at home no matter what, you know what's going on in that country, what's going on in that area. And that's the beautiful thing about our sport. You know, they don't care about what color you are. They don't care, you know, how tall, short, it doesn't matter. As long as you're a bodybuilding champion, you know, you can go to these places and the fans, they'll embrace you with open arms. And that's what I've been able to experience. And that's what I love. And that's what fuels my love for traveling and getting out there. And I'll never be afraid. You know, none of this COVID stuff, none of these things will make me afraid to travel internationally or go around and see people. I'll never just be fearful on that point, because, like I said, I just enjoy it, and it's a freedom. It's really an opportunity that a lot of people don't have, and if you don't have it, you don't ever know what that experience is. And if you haven't done it, you can easily take it for granted. And I don't take it for granted. I definitely enjoy it, and I've seen the world, man, and it's been really cool, really cool.
How long have you been with SciTech?
Let's see, I've been with SciTech 5 years now, 5 years.
So Nate, a few weeks ago, I told you a story about back in 1999. My brother was sponsored by SciTech, and we were over there for a guest posing. They used to promote the Super Body,
they still
Super
do.
Body competition, and my brother, myself, my brother's wife, a couple other guys went over to guest pose in Budapest. And it was unbelievable. We spent a week there, and they took such good care of us. And do you remember a guy named Jolt Bangail?
Yes, yeah, I remember Jolt. Yeah.
I think he's still slightly involved with the company, but he was the head guy back then.
Yeah, he was the head guy, but he's actually with another company. Last I checked, out of Hungary. He was actually with another company. But yeah, he's still, I still see him at some trade shows. Still a really cool guy.
Yeah, great guy.
What you don't know, like, I don't know if you remember back then, but at a bodybuilding show there, the fans there, they don't stay in their seats when the bodybuilders are on stage. They get
crazy.
up and they go in the aisles. They get in the aisles and they watch the show from the freaking aisles when their favorite people are on stage. So it's great energy there. And man, they're so hardcore passionate about the sport. I love going to Budapest. I love going to Hungary in general. So
that was my first experience with feeling like a bodybuilding something, you know. We had posters. They were all coming up to us crazy. And I remember saying I felt like one of the Beatles because they were all just so loud and excited, you know. And back then, there was a young kid. He was like a sophomore in high school. And 10 years later, he ended up placing second to me at the Tampa Pro.
Wow.
Do you remember the kid, Steve Nemeth?
Yeah, I remember Steve, yeah.
Steve Nemeth. He was a sophomore in high school in Budapest, Hungary. I signed a poster for him, and sure enough, 10 years later, he turned pro, did the Tampa Pro, and he was second to me.
Wow.
It was incredible, incredible story.
That is awesome. That's awesome, man. It's like, that's you never know. That's one of the things you never know. Like, I remember being just fresh in the sport, meeting Johnny Jackson, meeting Dexter Jackson, you know, just meeting Jay Cutler, seeing Ronnie. I remember seeing these guys, being able to, you know, communicate with these guys at the expos, you know, brief time. And you never know, like, who's on your heels, like, who's going to be the next guy that, you know, becomes a fan, goes from a fan to being an actual competitor. So me being in that position and seeing these guys, I always try to make sure I make it a positive experience for these guys because, you know, I've not always had the most positive experiences. And, you know, and I remember those things, but, you know, I've gotten over them and I've become friends with some of those guys that, you know, of course, you know, they didn't necessarily treat me the best when I was young and coming up. But I just always want to be encouraging to those guys because, you know, I was once in the position. And you never know when, you know, they could be the guy standing next to you on stage one day or whooping your ass one day on stage. You never know. So,
who made the biggest impact on you? Something that you could take with you years later that, you know, was great advice or just, you know, was really positive and believed in you or just said something really prophetic.
Well, you know, I had the opportunity being with BSN for a while with Ronnie Coleman. I had an opportunity to work with Ronnie.
That's right.
And it was crazy to be able to work with Ronnie because I got a chance to have conversations with him and ask him questions. And one of the things that really kicked me the most, I was having like a hard time in the sport a little bit with direction. And Ronnie told me the story of him placing ninth the year before he won the Olympia and wanted to quit.
And he didn't complain.
Well, he wanted to quit. He wanted to quit, and he told everybody he was going to quit. And I actually ran into a guy recently that had it on video of Ronnie saying he was done. He wanted to quit.
Wow.
And Vicky, at the time he was with Vicky, told him he wasn't going to quit.
Right.
No way he's going to quit. And he ended up, listening to Vicky and continuing to compete. He's Mr. Olympia the next year. At that point, Ronnie telling me that I really needed to hear that. I really needed to hear that at that point because I was being discouraged. There was another time I ran into Ronnie, and it's just simple moments. It was backstage. I mean, it was at a gym. I think it's the Gold's Gym in Las Vegas, one of the Gold's gyms. Back in the locker room, after he'd done his last Olympia, he didn't do that well, coming out. And I asked him about coaches. And I was having some coaching issues, and I'm like, Ronnie, did you always listen to everything your coach said to you? And Ronnie was like, look, man, he says, your coach ain't on stage. It's you that's on stage. So you have to make sure you're happy with what you do because you're the one going to be on stage and showing it. So
great advice.
He says, if you and your coach is not seeing eye to eye, he said, you got to have to do what you're going to do, what you're going to have to bring to the stage. So you do what you need to do and be happy with what you bring to the stage. So at that point, that really opened my eyes. I'm thinking this great champion here just told me that. And it gave me an outlook that, yeah, he's right. At the end of the day, I'm stepping on stage. Nobody's stepping on stage for me. And if I can be confident in what decisions I make, put my responsibility on myself, where can I really go wrong in that point? It's on me at the end of the day because I can't point the finger at this guy and blame it on him if I don't get the results that I want being on stage. If I, decide to do what I'm going to do, it's all on me at the end of the day. It's all on me. Regardless of what's going on around me, it's on me. So that really opened my eyes to something that was going on in my head at that point to where I had to ask Ronnie that question. I will say this, not only Ronnie, but I've had people like Lee. I've been privileged to have people like Lee Haney. When I was a nobody bodybuilder, trying to find my way, Lee taking the time out to correct me on posing, to give me advice about training, and just encourage me and make me feel confident about myself as a bodybuilder and the tools that I had and the abilities that I had. And
he's awesome.
Encouraged me to keep going,
Yeah.
At times when, I was just unsure, about, my direction in the sport. Maybe I had some little success, but as my career has not been success all the time. I didn't have the Phil Heath way up.
No, I think it's amazing.
So, just remembering the things that Lee was able to share with me, him taking the time to critique me and tell me how to do this and, give me the advice. It was just, I just can't forget those things. I can't forget those things, man. So it's people like that that's really encouraging. I will say this, even in the fashion of adversity, Dexter Jackson was one of those guys. He was always giving me a hard time.
On fashion?
No, just giving me a hard time. Just like when I first met him, I showed him my bicep because of a lady I was with asked me to come show Dexter Jackson, meet him. And she said, show him your arm. Show him your arm, just showing I have potential. Dexter looked at me and he went, shh.
What are you, a middleweight?
I was like a middleweight, yeah. He was like, shh, But I was like, Dexter was one of my favorites back then, his physique, Yeah. And I was like, man, this guy just dissed me. Like he just straight up dissed me,
He's a ball buster.
So yeah, so then I saw him at the Arnold another year. He looked at me, he did the same thing. And I'm like, what in the world? So I'm like, man, I gotta beat this guy. Like this guy. So I found myself like chasing Dexter, just because he was so competitive, got it. And it took me forever to catch him.
Yeah.
And I gained some respect over spending time with him over the years because he's so silly and You know, he had
Yeah.
such a good personality. And I actually got a chance to spend some time with him after he won his first Olympia. And I was able to see that and be there and see that happen. And then the week later, we went on a trip together, just me and him at a opening of a gym. I actually got to be around him, and he actually was personable with me and gave me advice and was encouraging. And I'm thinking, this guy's at the top, and you know, I know the interactions with us wasn't all that grand now, but he was just being real with me, being upfront, transparent with me, warning me about the industry and everything. And I had so much respect for him because, you know, he's at the mountaintop, and you know, he's just sharing this wealth with me, and I could never forget that. We've been tight, you know, we've been cool ever since. But
Dex is great. He's
so,
one of the funniest guys you'll meet in this industry.
Yeah, it's just a lot of people just read him wrong. He's really competitive, you know. He's really a certain way. You got to get him, you know. You got to really get him. He's not a, you know, but he's a real cool dude, man. And he's so young because he's so in the game because he's so young-minded. You know, he's so fresh. He's so willing to, you know, I guess you say change. You know, do different things, try new things. You know, he's so willing to evolve as an athlete, and that's why he's been around for so long.
Oh yeah, Nate, how are we doing on time?
Yeah, we're an hour and a half in, so probably wrap it up. So I got a question for you, Brandon, on the carbon culture gyms. Can you talk about how that came about, your involvement in it, and maybe some other people that are involved in the whole story of that?
Sure. I was meeting with my now partner Brent Lafty about some other business opportunities, and you know, I'm at another place that he runs. It's called Armada. They do some manufacturing in the industry, supplements wise, and I wasn't ready to do anything in that industry. But I talked to him. He came to me later about an idea of, you know, he's thinking about being in the gym business. He wanted some of my advice. He knows I had experience with, you know, all the different kind of equipment and different things. So we got to talking about it, and he was like, yeah, you know, we should kind of do this together. We should do this together. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a good idea because when I'm looking at his plan, I'm looking at some of his ideas. It really had some similarities to a project I was working on in high school. The colors, even the shapes, different things just struck me as this looks familiar. So as I got to know more about it, I was like, man, this is so cool. You know, I was all in because it represented, you know, I told myself after having friends in the gym business and stuff like that, I told myself that I wasn't no longer interested in having a gym. But after meeting Brent Laffey and discussing these things, it kind of sparked something interest in me that I kind of shunned for a while. And then I started getting invested in the idea, and man, I went equipment crazy, researching and all this kind of stuff, and I guess just got because the equipment, I love equipment. You know, I love being in oxygen. You develop a love for different machinery, different styles, different brands that you don't necessarily develop if you don't have that experience. So I love it, and I guess he sensed that. He sensed that my love for that and my love for you know, just the gym alone, and we decided to partner together, and we decided to do it, and we opened up our first gym in Franklin. We did, you know, basically we did connected with almost like a local brand, Arsenal, and they're out of Knoxville, which is just north of us. And we decided to, you know, just coordinate to put this gym together. So, you know, picking my brain, seeing different pieces that we want. It's a nice personal training suite. We're going to basically put something together for the community that was going to be nice, super, super nice, super, super clean. You know, something places that anybody would want to go to, but we wanted the hardcore feel to this place. We wanted it to be nice, but we wanted it to be hardcore. We both were in agreement about that. So we wanted to make an environment where the athletes feel comfortable, and the people that wanted to really like push themselves or be motivated by this community to come in and be motivated by this community, and also get training from well-qualified people. You know, people that are not going to just take advantage of them. We're going to, you know, basically make sure our trainers are some of the best in the industry for the community, so people will get real results and we can grow our name and grow our brand. So, you know, we started off with this one gym idea. We talked about maybe doing some more. And before we know it, we were already talking about opening a second gym here in Murfreesboro where I currently live. So the first one's in Franklin, next one Murfreesboro. And this Murfreesboro idea is we're gonna make this, since this is my home gym here, it's gonna be my baby. So I'm gonna just basically put my design, my fingerprint on this specific gym here, and I'm gonna do all my research and get all these pieces, as much equipment in this gym that I can get that I like. So that's what we went for. So this Murfreesboro gym is hopefully going to open up at the end of August, and September 19th we're going to do a big grand opening block party.
Wow.
We decided we're going to, this is going to be the gym. This is going to be, an homage to my career where I started bodybuilding and for this community. So that's what we're excited about. We can't wait. We've got the plans out. We've got the floor plans done, and the building we've been in and out, seeing the construction is so exciting. But it's, I got fans texting me this morning. They can't wait. They want to buy a membership early. They want to get in the gym early. They want to be some of the first members. So it's very exciting that we're able to come together and bring this to the community, because I love the sport, and this is kind of like a way of me staying involved. It's a post bodybuilding venture, and it's a way of me giving back in a way too, because it's a way I can be in the gym, I can be seen, people can come in, they can take pictures of me. I make sure I'm real approachable, making sure I'm speaking with the members, and I just want this good energy to be in the gym. I want everybody to feel welcome, and everybody that's on a road to improve. I want to make sure they provided everything they can have to improve themselves physically, mentally, and spiritually and emotionally, if that's the case. But so it's just like, it's community, it's the culture, and we just want to give back to the culture. We want to make sure the culture is strong. So we're looking for other people to be involved, and Brent was talking to some other people, and he asked me about some particular person. He asked me about Steve Fuco. What did I think about Steve?
He came out to your first opening, right?
He came out to the event, but we were already debating and in contact with Steve about, he was wanting to open up a gym already, and he had done some research, and and we're like, we can be a part of this brand. It's like, and he was like all on board with what we're doing, and we're like, we just got the chemistry and we gel together. And Steve's like a great guy, very business minded, very respectable athlete, and so Texas, going out to the Texas area, and already got some plans for a building out there, and we're just getting the inner workings and just collaborating on that. So hopefully by the end of this year, we'll also have Texas ready as well. And it's just been a cool experience. It's been a cool experience to kind of cooperate, and we just we have this love for the sport, we have the love for the community, and even though we living in this abnormal time, like we opened the first gym, 3 weeks open, and here comes the pandemic. Closes down. And of course, I can go there to train, but our members can't get in. And then we open up on May 1st, and that first week, after having that time down, we end up doubling our membership, because in the area, some of our competitors were not able to open right away. Right. And they, due to a lot of the restrictions. And we just fortunately, we set this gym up to where we didn't have to deal with a lot of the restrictions, because we didn't have a lot of the things to jump around that other gyms had to maybe jump around. Like, we have personal bathrooms, so we didn't have to deal with that issue. We didn't have to deal with the big locker room issue and restricting all that. Our places was very easy to sanitize. So it was just kind of set up in a way to kind of fit this kind of quarantine pandemic kind of culture that allowed us to kind of flourish, and members and gym people to be confident in coming and training there, with the idea we can keep the place clean, we keep it safe. We can be at 50% capacity, and it's just not too full. So it was just a lot of advantages that we had during this time where we thought it was going to be bad, but it ended up being good. We also got a deal on a better facility for Texas as well, because of everything that was going on with the pandemic. So it set us back on our Murfreesboro date here a little bit, but it's not been too significant as far as that's concerned either. So we're just rolling right along, doing what we can with what we have. And it's been exciting to see the pros come out and support me and come train with me, come visit the gym. And we've had people come out all the way from Brazil, wow, just come see the gym. And I'm thinking, wow, I mean, it's been amazing. So I'm just looking forward to, what we can continue to do. And I'm looking forward to this new facility opening up. I'm looking forward to going down to Texas and seeing everything Steve is working on down there. It's just something that gives life into the sport outside of just competing for me, and it's awesome.
How big a space is it?
Well, this first gym we opened up first with only 4,000 square feet with the personal training studio, but then we have another 4,000 square feet that was a CrossFit gym.
Okay.
We have obtained as well. That will be more our power inside. We'll do our cardio there and any classes that we'll have. And then the new gym is around the same size. Of course, Texas will be a little bit bigger because it's Texas. So it'll be 20,000 or so square feet in Texas.
Yeah.
So.
Is there
Make
anything
them big in Texas
out there like that? Like I lived in those areas probably like 2001 or 2002. I was touring with a country band, and I spent a summer living out there and just touring all around Nashville and in the cities. And the only gym I was going to at the time was like an Anytime Fitness. There weren't a lot of top of the line fitness facilities, at least near where I was staying. What's your competition out in the towns that you're in? Are there like really big box gyms like a Lifetime, or is it more Planet Fitness type clubs?
Well, we have an athletic club that's really close to us. It's an older athletic club facility, but it's really close to us, very, very close. But so that's competition. We also have a Lifetime as well, which is kind of like competition, but they know we have a kind of a relationship with them as well. Some of their personnel and employees there, and they know the kind of feel and the kind of environment we're kind of set. It's different from a Lifetime, and so it's been a fact that if they don't think people fit their gym model, they'll recommend them to us. So it's not it's competitive in a way, but not necessarily like you would think. We have a different kind of environment that we're trying to cater to. That you're either gonna love it or you're gonna go to one of the other gyms. So, and of course, Lifetime is more of a family-oriented facility. They have all kind of other activities going on. We're about hardcore training. We're our niche is that. Our niche is just for the guys who want to come in and get it done in a nice environment. But we don't have a spa, or we're not. We don't have big swimming pools and all that kind of stuff. So right. We're staying in our niche. We're staying in our lane, and it seems to be working for us.
Awesome. Well, we don't want to keep you any longer. This has been pretty long, and I know you're a busy dude. So thank you again for coming on, and we wish you all the best. We'll be in touch, trying to get some updates from you. So, keep up the good work, man. You're a great ambassador, and loving what you're doing. So good luck, brother. Give Brandy my best, and hope to see you soon. Good luck with the gym, too.
All right, brother. Appreciate it, man.